IndiGo seeks DGCA nod for wet leasing Boeing 777 aircraft. Image source, file. Generally, wet leasing of planes is allowed for short periods to tackle supply constraints and ensure that airfares do not surge significantly. The country's largest airline IndiGo on Friday said it has sought Aviation regulator DGCA's approval to operate two Boeing 777 aircrafts which were inducted by the airline company for operations on the Delhi-Istanbul route. Earlier, the Ministry of Civil Aviation, MOCA, allowed Indian Airlines to take wide-body planes on wet lease for up to 1 year as it pursues efforts to make the country a key international hub for air traffic. Before we continue, we want to inform you about India's best local e-commerce marketplace, lawferoshop.com, is empowering Indian businesses and consumers to connect with each other. We are the one-stop destination for everything from shoes to hat, electronics to clothing, toys and more. Our mission is to create a platform that will ensure that Indian brands and businesses get the right exposure and reach the right audience in the world. After the previous receipt of in-principle approval for inducting B777 aircraft on a wet lease basis from MOCA, IndiGo has now applied for final DGCA approval for these operations as per the prescribed procedure, the airline said in a release. This wet lease solution will also enable us to better utilize our A321 narrow-body fleet to continue our network deployment in light of the global supply chain issues, IndiGo said. Generally, wet leasing of planes is allowed for short periods to tackle supply constraints and ensure that airfares do not surge significantly. On November 27, IndiGo said it has approached the ministry and received a communication conveying the ministry's approval to allow Indian carriers to wet/damp lease aircraft for 6 months, extendable by another 6 months. Such relaxation shall be available to all Indian carriers on their specific request, and the ministry will consider the same based on international destinations that the airline intends to operate, it had said. We have plans for inducting B777 aircraft on wet/damp lease basis during the current winter schedule, the airline had said. The ministry has asked airlines to operate wide-body aircraft so that they can ferry more passengers from India to foreign countries.